In the name of Deputy Maureen O'Sullivan, I'd ask Deputy O'Sullivan to introduce the question. 30 seconds.
Yeah, thank you, Lascan Corley. My question is in relation to what the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade is saying on the biofuels and what the Department of Communications, Energy and Natural Resources is saying. So there was a commitment to 5% on one, 7% from the other. And my question really is, what is the Irish position on the biofuels issue?
Come out, Mr. State. Deputy Costello.
My colleague, the Minister for Communications, Energy and Natural Resources, has lead responsibility for government policy on biofuels. By 2020, 10% of energy used in transport must come from renewable sources, according to the 2009 Renewable Energy Directive. But in October 2012, the Commission proposed amendments to mitigate the potential negative effects occurring as a result of the use of certain biofuels. These would limit the use of food crop-based biofuels as renewable energy to 5% by 2020. Some Member States argue for a higher or no cap at all on relevant biofuels. Others want a cap lower than the 5% proposed. During Ireland's EU presidency, we worked hard to facilitate consensus, but at the moment there is no agreement in Council. Biofuel production and use, unless properly regulated, could impact negatively on food production and food prices and might increase greenhouse gases. Minister Abbott has conveyed to Member States the need to be cognizant of these potentially adverse impacts of biofuels on developing country land use. Ireland argues for a restriction on food crop-based biofuels and incentives to develop advanced biofuels. Our preference is for as low a cap as is achievable. To help reach agreement on the Commission proposal, Ireland has been practical by supporting the Lithuanian presidency compromise, providing for a reduction to a 7% cap. The proposals tabled are part of the normal process of identifying a workable compromise.
Thank you, and that is very disappointing. I mean, the bottom line is that the production of biofuels should not undermine food security, but there's no doubt that the biofuels mandates are having major negative effects on food production. And it's almost like there is a conflict now between food for the world's poor versus fuel consumption for the world's rich. It's very disappointing that Ireland sees the 7% now as low a cap as is achievable, and that we're supporting the 7%, and why we are not again just continuing to support the 5%, because the 5% was borne out at the Mary Robinson Conference on Climate Justice. Ireland was the host country there, and certainly Minister Abbott, when he met representatives from the NGOs, he certainly gave the impression that they had made a compelling case for not having the higher rate of 7%. And we do know that a number of other countries, like the UK, the Netherlands, Denmark, Finland, Belgium and Luxembourg, have committed to the 5%. And Italy, I believe, has reduced. They've come down from the 7% to 6%. The 5% is advocated by the European Commission. But the Presidency is supporting the 7%.
Thank you,
I'm just asking the question about policy coherence between the two departments.
Come on with the Minister of State. 1 minute.
Well, what I said, Deputy, was that during our presidency we fought hard to get the Commission's amendment, which was for a 5%. We failed to get agreement at that point in time, and that is what we would like to achieve, the lowest possible level. However, at this point in time, there is very substantial disagreement among Member States, particularly Poland and the Eastern European states, who want a higher level. And indeed, a lot of them want no cap at all because of investment that they have made in biofuels in their own countries. There are other countries like the United Kingdom and Denmark and so on who want a lower level, as indeed Ireland wants the lowest level that is possible to be achieved. And in this matter, as in most matters in the European Union, as for example the multiannual financial framework, which was voted on today in the European Parliament, where there was much desire by ourselves in Ireland and other countries to have a greater amount of finance for the period 2014 to 2020. Eventually, there is a compromise position put forward. We have gone for the upper end of the compromise, which is 7%. We would prefer it was 5%. But if that is achievable, it will certainly be better than the existing situation, which is a 10%.
Deputy Sullivan.
Yeah, thank
1
you.
minute.
I mean, failing to get an agreement doesn't mean to say that Ireland gives up on this. And there was an interesting report done recently by ActionAid, and they were looking at the difference between the 5% and the 7%. And the figures that they come up with, that the difference could feed over 68 million people. So it's all very well to say, well, we might have the lower cap by 2020, but by 2020, how many more people are going to have died from hunger? And I acknowledge what the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade does, and Irish Aid, in terms of relieving hunger. But it's like we're giving with one hand and we're taking back with the other. So I'm urging that this is not off the agenda, that there will be a continuation to bring it to the 5%, and that Ireland would join that group with the UK and others who are supporting the 5%, and that we don't see 7% as a compromise.
Minister of State, 1 minute remaining.
Well, the existing situation is that it is 10%, and it's an amended position that was put forward in 2012. Don't forget, the original position in 2009 was 10%. That remains the position. Unless we get an amendment for a reduction, it will remain the position. So, you know, it's a question of working towards getting the best you can and continuing that work. We fought hard during our presidency to get the 5%, the half reduction. And also remember that all Irish biofuel is from waste material. We do not use any food crop. So therefore we are setting a good example in that respect, and we will continue to look for its further reduction.